Welcome back to Rehabilitation Revelations World. I'm Chase.
I'm Christopher. Really today we just kind of wanted to talk about facing the darkness. What that darkness is to us, because I know in my walk and really to recovery that we cannot escape that darkness, whether it is emotional, whether it's physical, whether it's our relationship, whether it's really our spiritual. I know I had to almost accept the darkness and kind of surrender to it so I could figure out what it was. In a sense, I had to study it and study what it had done to my life. But I guess today we just really wanted to go into what we did to process through that, to have the hard conversations with our families, to have the hard conversations with ourselves, and being honest with that. Because again, in my experience, I don't know about your experience, but I could not get to the other side unless I went through that darkness, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I mean, that's what brought me to where I'm at today. Is that darkness, bro. You talk about spiritual, man. It's real. Spiritual warfare is like but the devil, and if you allow him to set your mind, man, it's literally the worst feeling. It's like you're like you're you, but you're not, because you're doing these things that have these this main focus of like being someone you're not, and it's like what am I here doing? Because you're doing these things that like you wouldn't regularly do. It's
You almost
like,
become possessed.
yeah, literally, man. It's like I'm doing the things I was doing were so ridiculously extreme that I was like, and I knew it, but I couldn't help it. It was crazy. It's like, why am I doing this? First of all, but then I'll continue to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, especially with family, man. Like the what we put our families through, how like
took them down there through it,
dude. Like, and just being straight up a jerk, man. It's like why?
Well, the lies you tell yourself first, and then you're lying to your family. But for me, I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
I know that my lies in the darkness started within me. And I say the darkness, it can be whatever, man. Just whether it's anxiety or depression or whatever it may be. And I kind of equated it in my mind is like you're in quicksand.
Yeah.
And the more you fight it, the deeper you sink into it.
Yeah.
And it's almost you have to surrender to that anxiety, to that addiction, to the depression, or whatever it may be, to be able to work through it. Because when I guess you call it rock bottom, that you're at such a bad place, you really cannot see the light.
No.
But to get through that darkness, I had to almost study it.
Yeah.
Within myself, and talking to wiser people who have been through that, of kind of how they processed or forged themselves through it. And you know this story, Holden. I don't know if you know that. Hey, by the way, guys, we got our buddy Holden here, man, all the way from California. Here, man, we appreciate him, man. He's helped us out a lot.
He's helping us do sound.
Sound and video and everything else like that,
we
man.
really appreciate him.
Yeah, he does a lot, man. Great guy. But really, my dad put me on so much game. He told me a story right out here on this back porch right here. It's been about 10 years ago. And he was talking to me, and he would, you just think your parents are lecturing you, And he looked at me, and he's like, you know what, Chris? Let me tell you a story. And he always put himself there, but he was like, hey, I was in downtown Birmingham one time, and one of my buddies, rains were coming and everything, but we had to cross this creek to get to the other side. And so his buddy crossed through the creek, but when he was in the middle of the creek, his foot got stuck. And he couldn't get his foot free, so they had to call the fire department, call the police. Well, during this time, the bottom drops out, and the creek starts to rise. And So they get the whole community there. They get everybody there. Well, the river keeps rising. The creek starts rising. And they can't get his leg unstuck. The kid ends up drowning. And I was just like, okay, the kid drowned. His foot got stuck. He's like, well, that would have never happened to me. I'm like, well, what do you mean that would have never happened? How is that, that was lucky it wasn't you. He's like, I tell you why it wouldn't happen to me, Chris. Because I would have told him to cut that thing off. I would have told him to cut my leg off. Because there's another option. And yeah, it's going to hurt. And if they would have cut it off, I would have told them to give me a hacksaw, I'll cut it off myself. And I know I've said that a few times, when we were talking and everything, but for facing that darkness, we have to cut away pieces of ourselves that hurt. Relationships with sometimes our parents, our kids even, and we've been through a program where you've seen people literally having to not talk to their children anymore because they know if they reestablish that relationship that it's going to be toxic, that it's not for the best of them. Yeah. And it hurts and it's painful and you have to do it to yourself type of thing. But really kind of going forth and everything is what price am I willing to pay? What am I willing to do to be the best version of myself? Because you're going to lose people, Chase.
Oh, yeah. That's where I kind of gain more from it with you telling me that, too. Because it's about cutting people off. It's about cutting, the people that are just, you destroy your own self in turn.
Absolutely.
That's the main factor. That's you. There's nobody else doing it but you. Mm-hmm. So, but you can have people that are helping you be destructive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, where I think that story, man, it's good. Where it comes to me, and is like, you have to cut that off. You have to cut those people off. You have to cut the things that you're doing in life that are destroying you off.
The behaviors.
You can't go. You have to literally cut everything off. Restart. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and it's gonna hurt. But the way the best for your recovery is to get through that, to get through that pain, and you're gonna suffer. It's gonna hurt, and you might have to hurt other people, but it's about you, man. Yeah. You have to be more sensible than that to yourself.
Yeah.
So to cut whatever it is off that's gonna help you is the main important thing. That's for any of your recovery, for your trauma, for depression, your anxiety, because where we are is we're living in fear too, man. So we're doing these things to ourselves, but we're also gaining nothing from it because we're doing all these bad things. I know for me, it's like I was just doing all these things that were destroying me, and I was having anxiety.
Please explain. Yeah, I know.
Well, it's more like, drinking, man. I was going and spending all this money on the bars, and I was buying drugs, coke, and like all these other things that to live a life, man, that I couldn't afford. And so, I was doing all these things to hang out with people that didn't care about me, man. It was they didn't care I wasn't paying my bills. They just, hey, come and hang out. And that time I really wasn't buying some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would just go and it'd be there. Yeah. And so it's this main focus I was living in, man. And it made me do things that were pretty embarrassing. They were, man, there's
why do you think you were doing these things though? Was it because of the way you felt? Did you feel insecure? Were you depressed? Were you anxious? Like, I understand that.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, why were you why did you feel the need to do these things?
Man, I think I just I was addicted to the life, man. Yeah. I was thinking that, it was going to get me somewhere.
Yeah.
hanging out, going, I can go meet these. You never know who you're gonna meet. You know, oh man, I was I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at meeting people. I'm good at a lot of these things, but I was doing it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So like I'm sitting here, I would go out, and I was depressed, man. I was angry at myself. I was a little self-conscious about things. There's a little mixture of a lot of things that I was.
Do you feel comfortable sharing what you were like self-conscious about?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a good question. It was more internally, honestly, man. I felt, like a lot of people like who I hung out with, man. They had it. You know what I'm saying? So, to stay hanging out with people, I would try to hang with them. I would go and they were doing this and that, just spending money. They had it.
Yeah.
So
it was a lifestyle.
So I really didn't. So therefore, there's a lie in itself, and just trying to just hang with the best of them. We want to say it. That wasn't. But man, I was just insecure about a lot of things, man. Just kind of like I've told in my story, just with things I dealt with growing up, man. I just beat myself up a lot.
Yeah.
It could be about nothing, honestly. But something...
Any excuse you could do.
Anything, man.
You would just go and do it.
There's nothing really popping in my head right now. I mean, I'm sure it will eventually. But, man, there's really not a lot of excuses I have for what I was doing, honestly. I mean, I didn't have the best... I mean, I had a good life, like I said, growing up, man. But I just feel like... I think it's with everybody. You see somebody and you're like, man, they got it. But on the other side of the fence, they don't.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. So this is what I'm trying to say is I was going for something that wasn't even real.
Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking, oh, this is going to change my life. Oh, if I hang out with these people. And it took me to the dark, bro. Yeah. It took me literally to the dark, because I'm fighting these other things that they don't even care about. Yeah. They don't even care to realize it.
Yeah.
So what am I doing? I'm just destroying myself at this point. I can't, I'll look back on it. What are you doing, Chase? So I'm a smart guy. I know I am. I'm not the smartest. I'm not good at math and things like that, but I'm good at life. I'm good at conversation. I'm good at, my work that I do. I'm pretty aware of things in life.
Yeah.
That I can see that not a lot of people do. I'm more conscious.
Yeah.
And, I can read people. And here's the thing is, I knew this the whole time. But I still did it.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Because it was that darkness inside that was taking over me. That was sitting there. I was sitting there and I thought, this is what I should do. And at the time, I'm letting that get in my mind. And I'm believing lies that I'm telling myself and other people, and it's taking me down this road, man. And it just, at that point, you're just in it.
Yeah.
You're sucked in, and it sucks you in where you're sitting there, again, believing it, and you go with it, and it's so crazy to me, man. I never, like, I don't want to go in this, but I didn't hear like voices.
Yeah.
But my conscience was like, oh, do this. This is a great idea. Oh, do this, because I'm messed up.
Yeah.
I'm hammered all the time.
It's not really you.
No, and so but to make these people to fit in, I guess, to make these people like me or something, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm still figuring that stuff out, honestly, like the self-consciousness of it, the me being why I was doing things, like, that's part of my recovery.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm still gaining stuff. I'm still early in mine. I let it take over me for 15 years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, why did I do all that? And, through this, and with counseling and things like that, I'm slowly figuring it out. But I mean, most of the time, man, I was just doing idiotic things. So that's what was taking me to my anxiety, my depression, and get to the point where I'm not paying for things, all my bills, the important necessities to live life.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to live a lifestyle, man. That wasn't real.
Let me ask you this though, Chase, and I get it, man, and I understand that. So, when I say like, I guess the premise of this was facing the abyss.
Yeah.
So when you were in, like, when you got the point like, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm in this hole. What did you have to start doing to start gradually walking out of hell, dude? What conversations did you have to have with yourself, with God, with people? So, like, what did you do? And again, we're not saying this at all. It's not like we're on this, we have gotten out of anything, but, like, it's always a walk. So, I guess I want to go down to the very bottom and say, like, what did you have to, like, okay, this is what I have to start doing if I want my life to get better?
So, there's a lot of conversations that were had with me that I wasn't listening to, and a lot of people that knew me knew I needed help.
Yeah.
And so, they put it in my mind, and I listened, but not do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm where like in our story, man, when we were spitting out that there's a relative time where I wanted to stop drinking, I wanted to stop doing those things, and I really wanted to get my life back together, but I couldn't, man, because I was so far. I couldn't do it by myself.
Yeah.
Thought I could. I tried. Started going to AAs and things like that, and still drinking.
Yeah.
I would drink before them.
But what broke you though? It's like, what broke you?
So it was where I tell them my story.
Everything just boom, just broke you.
When I woke up to a text message from family saying that they're done with me, that I'm never gonna change. I'm pretty much a piece of crap. I'm a drunk. I'm stealing from family. I'm lying. And I'm lying to them straight up to their face, and they know I'm lying.
Yeah.
And they're just done with me, and that's what really put me into a hole. Was that's when I tell it in my story, man. I woke up, I saw that text message, it was after drinking, man, and after a long binge, a couple weeks, man, I spent like $6,000, at the bars every day. Didn't go to work, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just
at the bar.
Bar, sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what took me. I woke up, and that piece in my conscience was like, all right, well, you did it. There you go. I thought about ways to do. I'm not sitting here and to trigger anybody about suicide. That's why we started this, man. Is I'm the prevention of that. I really hope nobody gets to that. There's a lot more to the story, but that complete darkness that hit me
that's
was that's
you can't get it up off you either, bro.
No, and so I woke up that day, and like I said, I grabbed the rest of the beer and things I had, and I started drinking and just sat there and drove around talking myself into doing something stupid.
Doing something stupid.
That right there, I was about to.
Yeah.
And just kind of, man, talking about spiritually, there's something in my mind that told me to try to turn on my phone one more time, and it did for a little bit. That's when my aunt called and asked where I was, and I was sitting,
So that got the process started.
That's what got the process
started.
So, not to go back into that story, but man, I'm trying to regain that, like, because man, I'm telling you that, and there's a lot of people that have felt that, and it's crazy to me because people do stupid things.
Yeah, and it's like crazy for me. People say like, why would you even do that until you're there?
Yeah, Dude,
And it's now it's hard to even think about. Why would I even think like that until you're really there?
Yeah, you never think.
It's like you never know what a divorce. Why would you get so bad about a divorce until you get divorced?
Yeah.
You know, you don't understand these things until you go through them, and then it gives you that different perspective on it. You know?
Well, the thing is, man, is like I always told people to come to me, to talk to me about these things, to actually, like, don't do that. You know?
And here you are.
Yeah, and here I am.
Yeah.
And it's like, and completely threw off who I was.
Yeah.
To not do that. That's so crazy to me, man, and it sucks.
Yeah.
To feel like that. Oh, dude, that's why doing what we're doing and what we went through, I appreciate so much because
you're grateful, you're thankful.
Dude,
now.
it's
for the little things.
Yeah,
man.
Because I am a happy person, man. I'm a loving person. I love people, dude.
Yeah.
I love this world. I love everything about my life. The past sucked.
Yeah.
But I made it suck. Like, I made it suck.
Yeah,
I made it suck. So
yeah.
what I'm here to do now is to make it not suck, because you can make it not suck, but you have to work for it.
And I think that's the whole thing, I guess, that I know I had to do is you have to work. It's going to suck. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to do things you've never done before.
Yeah.
You know, and we always talk about
conversations.
Conversations, yes. And doing, like, changing your behavior.
But figuring out how you got there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, man. It's the process of figuring out where I've come, why. But there's so many scenarios in my life with the trauma, with different little things, man. And the thing is, some of them were so little, but they added up.
Yeah. It's the consequences of those actions. And that's what I wanted to lead into, Chase, is consequences. And it's crazy. It's like, in the past and stuff, I get sober. I'd be sober for 8 months, 9 months, and I'd be doing good. And I would still be having to deal with the consequences that happened a year ago. You know, just because you're doing good, and it took me a long time to realize this, Chase, just because you're doing good and you're building this new life, don't mean the consequences of what you've done just go away.
Yeah.
Because the people...
That's work.
Yeah, and that's work. Because those people, they might not have seen you in 6, 8 months. In their mind, you're still that piece of crap.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know?
You have to prove.
And it's like... Unless you shut them out. Yeah, but I was kind of entitled in the sense of, like... I just like, okay, I'm sober, or I'm doing good. I got everything back, and everything's going good. So just, give me back everything that I destroyed. And it just don't work like that. It don't work like that. Because it took me years to destroy these things. And just because I'm doing good for 9 months, a year, doesn't mean that I'm going to get all these things back. Yeah. That took me that amount of time to destroy.
Well, it's funny is you do all that and everything goes away so fast.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And not even thinking about it till it does. You know, it's kind of, I still am trying to grasp the fact, man, how I got there. It still hasn't.
I said, like, yeah. I think it's going to take. For me, it's going to take a while, bro.
Oh yeah,
it's going to take a while.
And I know this now. I'm just saying you know, we get to those points. The things that pop in your mind is when you're sober and you're just like, God. What the heck? Like,
you're saying
what did I do? I'm just like, you're just like, oh you could just be doing nothing, dude, and it's just like, I'm just like, what the heck,
like, oh my God. You start sweating a little bit. You're like, what's wrong?
But that was like years ago. And you're just like, God, I'm an a-hole, man. Yeah, I'm such a D-bag. I can't even.
I know, man.
Like, but it's not us. It's not me. It's not.
But again, that's part of the process, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's part of the process. And I wish, man, I've talked to...
Coping.
Huh?
Coping.
Yeah, coping. But you know how it is. You talk. I mean, I've literally talked to thousands of people in recovery.
Yeah.
Thousands of people in recovery. And maybe one or two, I would say a handful of people saying, "Oh, well, I just started. God delivered me from this," or "Hey, I just started doing this and I was free." A handful of people, but the 99.9% of people were like, "No, bro, it took me years to do that."
Yeah.
And I think it's like you're thinking with a new mind now, and you're sober and you're trying to do these things, and it's just like it can be frustrating.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Because you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
But that's stuff that that's facing that darkness. That's facing what you need to face, that anxiety. Because it's almost, like you're in hell. I have become so familiar with Hell Chase. It's like when something comes out, and I know, like say anxiety, or whatever comes against you, it's like I can almost point at it and say, I know you.
Yeah.
I know what you are.
Yeah.
And I know what you're trying to do. And it could be the most beautiful woman. It could be the coolest car.
That's
it could
the main forms.
Huh?
That's the main forms.
The main forms, yes. But I'm just saying, my addiction lies to me in my own voice.
Yeah.
And makes these things seem like they're not that bad.
See, that's where I was trying to get earlier in that conversation. Just the conscious feel, you know what I mean? Like
it's like your own voice, your own self's lying
exactly.
to
Not
you.
the voices. It's not.
It's like your own self's lying to you, and it makes all these things so.
Chase.
Yeah, no, it's
Dude,
never
no,
that.
it's
It never does. It's this most beautiful thing that it wants to lie. It is, but it's like when I became that anxiety, the depression, the insecurity, and I still have like doubts about God. Man, I don't have this stuff figured out, man. I still am bitter. I resent, different things at God, and I think anybody that would go out there and say, well, I don't do this anymore, like, man, I think they're lying.
Yeah, because it don't matter if you're it doesn't matter if you're, we've got people in our lives now. I mean, especially with your family. Like I love mine, but we're not. Some of your family's more spiritually minded,
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. Like Jeff and Crystal, yeah, Catholics. But just kidding. But
no, you're not. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm just playing that. But even spiritually minded people that actually, but they acknowledge, because they've been those places, they've seen that darkness, they've seen what comes out of it, but through the light that God shines on them, but they still struggle with the addiction part, the bad things that still pop in your mind, because that's spiritual warfare, man.
I was just thinking, just because you think about those things, they're like, oh my God, why am I like? That's natural.
Yeah,
that's so like.
Yeah, of course.
That's okay to think or not sit there and I guess ruminate, whatever the word is, ruminate on it. But like, it's ruminate. Yeah, ruminate. But it's
fact check.
Yeah, fact check. We got a fact checker right here.
Yeah.
But it's okay to have like doubts.
Yeah.
And so that's just us. If we didn't, that wouldn't make us a human being, man.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make us a human being. But I wanted to say this. I don't know who said this. It might have been Jordan Peterson or so. I don't know. I read it in a book one time, I think. But it was just like, being naive to the darkness does not negate its power. So just because you're naive to something doesn't mean something bad's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because the wolves are always coming, man.
Yeah.
They're always going to come.
Yeah.
That's the life.
You turn a corner, man. Boom.
Yeah.
That
does not, life is still going to happen.
Yeah.
It's still going to happen. And just because you're you're rebuilding these relationships with yourself and God and other people doesn't not make things not going to happen.
Yeah.
It honestly kind of makes it harder, because now it's like I don't have alcohol or cocaine or fentanyl to cope with these things now.
Right.
So it's like sometimes it hits harder in a sense, Does that make sense?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, that's what was my main escape, man. My world was just falling apart.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there you know, and my thing is I'm an alcoholic, so I just pull up to a store and my worries go away.
Yeah, it's everywhere for you.
My worries is they didn't.
Your dope man's every corner.
Yeah, I mean, and I knew them people too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, that's the thing about alcohol, man. It's like people are so naive about those things. It's like you can pull up and there's your drug, dude.
Yeah.
It's
legal.
The liquor store.
It's everywhere.
You're talking about.
It's accepted.
You're talking about the dope man, but the biggest drug dealer is ABC.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, or whatever alcohol. You know, it sucks, but it's the truth, bro.
Yeah.
You go to these liquor store, you pull up, it's easy transactions, brother. There ain't.
And we like easy.
Yeah. There ain't no. All right, meet me here, cuz. No, you know where it's at.
Yeah.
You can pull up anytime you want. Well, not anytime, but.
Yeah, and it's right then. It's like accepted.
You get in your car, you start going and drinking, and you know, like.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man.
And it's so accessible, man, and it's crazy.
It is crazy, man. But yeah, man. I think we had a good conversation, Jay.
Yeah.
I think we had a real conversation, and like I said, in the future, we'll go into more aspects of these types of things, man.
Yeah.
Man,
we might say the same thing over and over, but
I need to look. It ain't necessarily them. I need to hear these things constantly, repetitively, and tell myself, because if I don't keep over and over telling myself, I have a good forgetter, bro.
Yeah,
I start taking these things for granted. Yeah. And let's just be real. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you can't forget.
Yeah. Again, I want to thank Holden, man. Yeah. He's doing
Holden.
big things, dude. Doing extreme things, man.
Glad
we appreciate you, dude. We love you, dog. We love you, man. I love you, man.
I love you.
You're the man, dog.
And we love y'all.
Yeah. We appreciate y'all tuning in, guys.
Peace.
Yep.